Thank you so much. Last time when I moved my stand up in Westlake this morning, my water flew out and did like several backflips and landed right upright. And I was like, yeah. So nothing so exciting has happened at this point in our little journey. But hey, the night is young. It's so good to be back. Those of you who don't know me, I'm back. I was here, and then I was gone, and now I'm back. Old Blue Eyes is back. Okay, I don't know. It's kind of a Frank Sinatra reference there for those of you who are too young to know that. So, you guys have been asking me, what in the heck have you been doing? Where have you been? So, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what I've been up to these past, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, whatever it's been. Too long. Yeah, it's been a long time. So, I got into, some difficulties and started stealing cars. I know, right? How did I attract that? I started stealing cars. Then I had to disappear for a while. I had to lay low, so I spent a couple months in Mexico. Luckily, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but it was really rough. So then I came back, but then I was arrested. So, wow, that was really hard. You know, the slammer, whew, like, it's not like Orange is the New Black. You know, it's really, it was not good at all. So, so I've been busy. I've been very busy. No, seriously. I have been busy. I like to say that in October I'm going to be giving birth to twins. Wow, you guys are really silent. No, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. I mean, with God, everything is possible, I mean to say, but that's not going to happen. I will be giving birth to 2 wonderful projects and things I've been working on for 9 months. So to me, it's kind of been a birthing process. So my new CD is coming out in October, which I've been working really, really hard on. It's sounding good. I'm happy about it. It's coming out. And also, like our own Dr. Erin Fall Haskell, I will be a licensed Kundalini yoga instructor in October as well. I like to tell people it's not pretzel yoga or hot yoga or anything where you have to be uncomfortable or sweat. There is probably a little bit of sweating involved at different times, but I don't like to sweat really, so I don't really do that much sweating with yoga. Kundalini yoga is the yoga of awareness. And so there's lots of music, which I love. There's lots of meditating, which I love. And there's lots of laying down and just laying there meditating while the music goes on, which I love. So I think I'll teach some free classes for GTC. What do you think? Yeah? Come and lay down with me and listen to music. And don't sweat. It's really awesome. So remember who you are. Wow. So Dr. James always says, even though that's kind of the last of the Trinity, if you will, the last part, if you only do that, the other stuff happens. You're loving only. You're forgiving everything because you're coming from a place of that greater awareness, right? You guys know that? You remember that? Okay. I'm asking you all these questions here. So I love the fact that it says, remember who you are. I thought a lot about that because it would be really easy, especially sort of a type A kind of control freaky person who likes to get a good grade. I'm not talking about myself. I am talking about myself. It would be really easy to say, okay, now figure out who you are. Try really hard and study and figure it out and take the test, and then you'll know who you are. Figure it all out. Take the test. And that's not what it says. It says remember who you are. So you could go online, you could take a personality test. Okay, I got them all right. Is that who you are? I could ask all of y'all who I am. Does that tell me who I am? I don't know. Maybe it tells me how I come off to you or how I appear to you, but truly, knowing and remembering who you are is not something we can figure out. And guess what? It's something we already know. Right? We already know that. We don't have to figure it out. So, being a geeky songwriter, wordsmith person, and also having been in many, many classes with Dr. James, and you all who have been will relate to this. When there's a word you come up against when you're reading Troward or you're reading Ernest Holmes or Emerson, and there's some turn-of-the-century word or some word that you don't understand, you know, you can't just sort of BS your way around it with Dr. James. You can't just say, well, you know, Troward was really talking about the deeper level of kind of nuancing the literation to the multiple levels of consciousness that may be occurring at the same time in this time-space continuum. Dr. James will he'll bust you, really. He will say, look it up. Look it up. So I figured, okay, I better look up remember. I mean, it's an easy word. It's not, you know, anything I haven't heard before, but I still wanted to look it up. So it comes from the Latin. The re part is easy. That's like again. You know, resentment is to feel all of that again. Sentir, from to feel. So remember is re, and then memorare is the calling it back to your mind part. So it's kind of like a computer that has all this sort of stuff running and programs running, and maybe you're just not accessing the right file. You don't know how to. It's like me with my new iPad. I have an iPad, finally, as a minister. I finally have, like everybody else on the block, I have an iPad, and I don't know how to use it, really. I just kind of scroll it up and down, and maybe I'll get a foot pedal. I think that'll be easier. But this whole thing about remembering stuff, and I know that some of us have, you know, issues with memory, and that's not what we're talking about here, really. But we're talking about a deep sense of knowing. So how many of you today, a show of hands, and no judgment around this, of course, maybe forgot to do something today? Did you forget to close the garage door? Did you forget to feed the cat? My husband has his arm raised very, very high because he knows I know that he forgets things. Sometimes we all forget things. I forgot some stuff this morning too and had to go back to the house before heading out to Westlake. So so we forget stuff. And how many of you remembered to do stuff today? Did you remember to say I love you to somebody today? No? Okay, then. Did you, you remembered to show up here? And I see you, most of you, with your clothes on the outside of your underwear. So that was good. You guys all showed up looking good. Yes? Everybody's looking good. So, and how many of you remembered to silence your cell phones for the service today? Hey, good. All right. I know you did. You're very organized. I never knew this about you. And working with you today is like, wow, she's cracking the whip there. 5 minutes to Wapner. And we've got to go. We got to get going on. It's a joke about Rain Man. Anyway, never mind. Some of you get it. Okay. So remember in the 60s, some of you may remember the 60s. Some of you are too young to remember the 60s. In the 60s, with the threat of, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis and all this stuff was going on, we were convinced we were going to be blown up, kind of like today. And we you know, and we had our little desks that were, you know, this thick. And there was this whole thing about stop, drop, and take cover. So my little desk was going to prevent me from being, you know, annihilated by a nuclear attack. But I did it anyway. I went under my desk, and it was fine. I like to think about remembering who we are and remembering what we already know as kind of a stop, drop, and cover process. But you don't have to crouch down and cover your head. It's much simpler than that. You don't have to sweat, and you don't have to bend like a pretzel. Okay. Because I'm very big on that. So I like to say stop. That stopping is really important. Stop, breathe. Breathing is really important. And allow. What am I allowing? I'm allowing that which is in me that already knows the answer to bubble up. giving it the space. I'm not arguing with it or chattering with it. I'm just sitting, stopping, breathing, and allowing. Give that a try next time you're forgetting who you are, or if you're, I don't know, cursing at some person who doesn't use their blinker on the freeway, which makes me nuts. And for a moment, and only for a moment, and then I breathe, and then I allow that person to go. I have no idea where they're going because they're not using their blinker, but I allow them to go in peace, and I make a little, no, I allow them to go in peace and do whatever they need to do. You know, Ernest Holmes says, nothing is lost. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing is lost in mind. Once something is in creation, it's, you know, you can't lose it. You can't uncreate it. I mean, so nothing is ever lost in mind. So mindfulness is a really good tool, and it's kind of a Buddhist practice, but it's we practice it in New Thought all the time. Mindful eating is a big thing now. Every bite, every morsel, feeling it, tasting it, smelling it, you know, really being present in the now. Eckhart Tolle talked about the power of now, right? How many of you read that book, you know, a few years back? I mean, that was a great concept that people hadn't really been thinking about, being fully 100% present in the now. And how many of you are listening to me and wondering what you're going to do after service and how many places you have to stop on the way home, yeah? Be right here in the now, 100%. And that's really where the power is. We all know that. That is where the real power is. So my daughter, Carly, is about to turn 15, and she's just finished her first year of high school. Oh, I can't even believe it. Like, where did that go? So she's really a good kid, and she was studying for finals recently. And so I like to help her with her studies, and as I said, it helped me out to speak a little bit of Spanish when I was south of the border. So I do help her with her Spanish now and then, a little bit, poquito. And so, so we were studying for finals. It was Spanish. She was worried. She started freaking out, you know, and she was panicking. Mom, there's going to be hundreds of vocabulary words. There's going to be verbs I have to conjugate. I can't get that past, future, imperfect, whatever the heck it is, you know. And I just said, stop, take a breath, just breathe. And I said, Carly, remember, you already learned this. It's not as if you have to go in tomorrow and learn all these new chapters without, you know, and take a test on it without ever having a chance to learn it. I said, you already know this stuff. I know, but I'll get nervous and I won't be able to do it. So, needless to say, she got in the test, you know, and it was hard. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of words. But she used that tool of stopping and not freaking out and just going, okay, I know this. I knew this. I did know this, and I can know it again. And she did. And she aced the test. She aced the final. She aced all her classes, by the way, as well. She's pretty amazing. So, good old Carly. And back to the question of who we are versus what we are. So, when I get introduced, if I go somewhere to speak, which is kind of what I'm doing now also, I'm doing that sometimes. And so I'm in the studio, I'm speaking, I'm yogaing, sleeping, mostly laying down, not sweating. And so, you know, people introduce you, well, it's kind of like your little resume, your little bio. Oh, she does this, she's been there, right? You guys know, you're all entertainers of some sort. You know, what have you done? What's your resume? So I would say who we are isn't so much, you know, what we do. I mean, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, but is that the who we are that we're talking about when we say remember who you are? I mean, that's kind of our circumstance and it's our relationship, but it's not really who we are. So we know that whatever we put after I am is what we show up as. So we try not to put things after I am that don't give us what we want and don't cause us to manifest, in a positive way with what we want. So I want you guys to join me in this little exercise, okay? And it's not exercise. It's an it's a little verbal exercise. Okay. All right. I want you to repeat after me. I have a body. I am not my body. Okay, you guys sound very serious. This is very serious stuff. Okay. Even those of you who are retired and you say, oh, I don't have a job, just being present in the world is your job. Just loving is your job. So when I say, I have a job, I am not my job. I have a story. I am not my story. Right. So how does that feel? I mean, it feels kind of free, right? To not be tied to a story, to a job, to the way we look, to our appearance. I mean, we just go so much deeper than that. So if we step back far enough to remember that we're on a ball spinning through space, whoa, right? That's better than, crawling under your desk with your hand over your head. It can be a little overwhelming, but yeah, we are. We're humanoids on a planet, and all of us are humans, and being human is being divine. It's not two separate things. There is just one divine humanness that we all are, that everyone is, whether they realize it or not, whether anybody knows it or not. I love the Rumi quote, your heart knows the way. Run in that direction. I love that. How many times have we run in the opposite direction? I don't think that's what Rumi meant. So here's what I know we all are. Whatever it looks like in your life right now, whatever's going on, and it's going on, we're not here to pretend stuff is not going on, right? We're new thought practitioners. We see the what is, but we know the bigger truth. And the bigger truth is that there's more going on than what it looks like. So now I want you to join me in repeating after me and saying, I am unlimited love. I am divine creativity. I am radiant health. I am overflowing abundance. And how does that feel? Right? So you just remembered who you are. You just did. And you can do it anytime you want to. Stop, breathe, and just allow that to bubble forth. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I think I caught you up on my crazy life at this point. I'll be back, I'm sure, hopefully, to discuss more about the latest installment of my adventures. But just know that I am so, so grateful and blessed that the universe has brought me together with you, with each one of you. And I'm just overflowing with gratitude. So remember, you don't have to remember who you are, although it's a great slogan. I would say, remember that you already know who you are. Namaste. Thank you.